We have 38 sites, and the reason I say sites is we frequently have PTA groups or different groups in cities that come together to hear the webinars and to interact with us. And we are really delighted to have you here because you really are the answer to us, and we're going to go and talk about why year-round prevention is important. And I could only say if any of you have children, you will understand why year-round prevention is important, because have you told your children something one time and they just automatically did it? I don't think so. That's why year-round prevention is important. And so Informed Families has taken our prevention message and put it into campaigns that you can keep repeating. But here's a big secret. Our campaigns are actually something that somebody wants to hear and participate in. So that's why we have 16 states and 38 sites, and we welcome you all, and we're delighted that you are here. We're going to talk about the 4 universal campaigns, our distance learning ambassador program, and this webinar is about Lock Your Meds, which is our prescription drug campaign. And then we're going to give you a call to action, because just talking about something doesn't change anything. Here is my first big message. Prevention is a process. It is not a program. What do I mean by that? You can have the greatest information in the world, but if no one can hear you, what good was the information, right? I mean, so it's a process. And it's a process of building relationships with people and having a consistent message. We cannot build relationships with people in Texas, let's say, or right here we have the Department of Juvenile Justice is on with us today and going to work with us. We're going to provide you material, but you're part of the relationship building process to deliver the message. Just like your children. You want to teach them a message, got to have the relationship, got to deliver it over and over. That is really why we need you, all 70 sites out there, all the different people, all your different personalities, all the way you work on it, to work with us. Because there is not one program that will reach all people. So our campaigns are into a process, but we need you to make the process work. What is that process? The first thing that Informed Families has done for you with prevention is take the very best prevention research and put it into a message that the public can hear. What good is a message if the public can't hear it? So that's called universal. And we beam that out in every way possible. We beam it out over the internet. We send electronic messages. We work with the media. We go on TV shows. That's universal. So that message has to keep going on all the time. Then outreach. We have to make our interface with the public. So we're at health fairs, we're anywhere anyone asks us to be, as I'm sure you are. That outreach is touching people person to person. Now here's the tricky one. You've got to get people to participate, and they may not always participate the way you think they're going to. And I'll give you one of our quick favorite examples. When we were doing Family Day and we sent the letter to all the superintendents of schools in Florida, we got back a message from a small county that said they had turned over the information to the cafeteria people. And we all like, really? Well, we had some great napkins. So in his mind, it was very logical to give the napkins to the cafeteria people, and that was, he was right. Frequently, you'll find that the grassroots person is right, because they handed out all those napkins to all those children, to all those families. So one of my messages to you about prevention being a process is don't always get wed to the exact outcome that you want. Because I go back to this process is about a relationship between the message, the person delivering the message, and the person receiving the message. So heads, thumbs up to the superintendent who did it that way. We thank you. Now, that was participation, but engagement is the key. If I can't engage that person to keep doing things with us, to keep learning about this, then we don't have that opportunity to really have effective outcomes. And our goal is effective outcomes. Our goal is about getting your children to say no to drugs. You know, people may not like that saying, but ultimately you say yes, no, or I don't know. So we're trying to move people into that engagement process. The prevention process is contained within each of the 4 campaigns. We send a message using that process, getting the desired outcome of participation and engagement. Now, I want to talk to you about the public health model and the domains, because people say, where do you do this? Where do you do this? Well, it depends on where you're located. It may be public policy. It may be the community, the culture, the values, the norms. Certainly schools are big for us. We focus many and most of our information on schools. Interpersonal social networks. You know what the advertisers tell us? No matter how much money you spend, when you're getting ready to buy a car, who do you ask? People you know, people you work with. The interpersonal network is the most important piece to delivering a message to someone. You have to see it out there. You have to know what someone's talking about. Maybe you saw it in the newspaper. You saw it in the community. You heard it at schools. Well, by the time you're finally down to your neighbor who says, hey, are you going to do the Lock Your Meds campaign? Then you start to say yes. So you're moving it from through those domains into the individual. And like I say, no matter if you like it or not, the individual finally has to say yes or no. And that's the reality of public health. And now that I've given you that sort of intro into Informed Families, I want to introduce to you a very important staff member for us, our program director, who is Dr. Valerie Roden. And Dr. Roden is was a principal at Turner Tech High School, which she took to being one of the 100 best high schools in America, and on U.S. News and World Report. And also, she was one of the first Red Ribbon certified schools principals. So now we have Valerie as our director of programs, and she's going to talk to you about our 4 universal campaigns.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm very happy to share today with each of you the 4 year-round prevention campaigns that we sponsor. And as Peggy said, our goal is to move our end users through a seamless process of involvement in those 4 levels. And those 4 levels, again, are universal, outreach, participation, and engagement. And engagement is that highest level. This is how we create critical mass or collective energy, where our prevention message is heard and seen by great numbers of people. And hopefully behaviors are changed for the better. Children truly will be growing up safe, healthy, and drug-free when we move this critical mass to the engagement level. And I personally believe that this is and should be a civil right, that our children grow up safe, healthy, and drug-free. But now, just briefly, let's look at each of our 4 campaigns. Let's start with Family Day. As you can see, Family Day is held in September. And we encourage families to not find the time to eat dinner together, but to deliberately make the time to sit down together for dinner, or any meal, in fact, and simply talk. Talk about what you might say. Talk about school. Talk about the future plans for your children, or just reminisce about the past vacations or fun times. You might say, does eating dinner together and talking really matter? Research says yes. Kids who eat dinner with their families 4 times a week or more are 5 times less likely to engage in risk behavior. And that's what we want to see. Parents, you can use this mealtime to ask open-ended questions so your kids know that you're concerned about them and that you're continually involved in their lives. And we have help for you. We will give you a list of open-ended questions in the promotional material for Family Day. But there's a big warning. No electronic devices are permitted during this mealtime. None. Family Day is fun, and we also provide cash prizes for winners of our Family Day game. Okay, so next September, I want to see your name on that list for ordering materials for Family Day. Can I count on you? What about Red Ribbon Week? Red Ribbon Week is held in October, and it is our nation's oldest prevention education campaign, designed to spread the prevention message using a captivating theme. Our theme for 2013 was, "A Healthy Me is Drug-Free." And we target students from kindergarten through 12th grade. The theme is beautifully displayed on posters and flyers. The flyers and posters are professionally designed with color and pizzazz to catch the eyes of our children, to let them know that it is cool to be drug-free. We also use social media such as Twitter and Instagram to reach our students. We meet them right where they are, and we know that they're on one social network or the other. Red Ribbon is packed full of fun activities, including prizes for winning the photo contest. Children are encouraged to decorate their front doors, mailboxes, or fences so that the entire neighborhood is involved in the prevention message. You've probably seen red ribbons tied around school buildings or red cups inserted in fences saying drug-free. Well, that indicates that those schools were involved in Red Ribbon campaign. Sounds great, doesn't it? So mark your calendar, October 2014. Now let's look at Lock Your Meds, our present campaign. Did you know that the most abused prescription medicine is Adderall? Yes, Adderall. Commonly used to treat attention deficit and hyperactivity. Because Adderall and other prescriptions and other over-the-counter medications can be abused and even cause harm and death, we stress keeping them locked and out of sight. So you can join us in January and February for the Lock Your Meds campaign. And we're so excited that you're on this webinar right now because you have the time now to make the decision to implement Lock Your Meds. And we target primarily parents and even grandparents who unknowingly may have prescription medication and over-the-counter medication in reach of children and teenagers. Our adults are encouraged to secure all medications and to discard old ones in the proper manner. Abuse of over-the-counter and prescription drugs, my friends, is becoming an epidemic. And my colleague, Alita Patterson, will go into more detail about Lock Your Meds later in this webinar. Our final campaign, Safe Home, Safe Parties, as you can see, is implemented in March and April. And this is during the prom and end of the school party season. You know, I'm saddened at times to know that our young adults are under great pressure to fit in, and they have a strong need for group acceptance. And you probably witnessed this firsthand. This need for acceptance sometimes pushes our children into engaging in risky behaviors like the use of cigarettes, alcohol, and other harmful drugs. Many parents with great intentions in wanting their children to belong will even serve alcohol at parties for their teenagers and their friends. These are the parents we especially target with our Safe Home, Safe Parties campaign. All parents and adults, however, need to hear this message. This campaign and the other three come with a wealth of information, research, and promotional resources to make it easy and convenient for you to rally support of your colleagues, your parents, your students, and community partners. I want you to remember that public health model that Peggy discussed earlier. In order to build this critical mass of positive energy, we need change agents. We need distance learning ambassadors to involve our individuals, our schools, and families, and our communities at large. Now, you've heard me talk about distance learning ambassadors being change agents. My colleague, Alita Patterson, will now explain how you can start on your own path to becoming a distance learning ambassador today. You don't have to wait. You can do it today. Alita?
Thank you, Valerie. So you heard Valerie discuss distance learning ambassadors. And who are these distance learning ambassadors? Informed Family recruits people just like you to be distance learning ambassadors. They can be school-based volunteers, such as counselors, teachers, school staff, or PTA members, or community volunteers. Chances are you yourself could be a distance learning ambassador right now. What is a distance learning ambassador? They're a volunteer who delivers Informed Families universal prevention messages in a school or in a community. They're a passion leader who believes that prevention is everybody's business. And finally, they're someone who cares about the future of his children and community. The Distance Learning Ambassador Program was developed to build an army of volunteers with a unified message and mission. We all know that prevention is needed in schools. Unfortunately, funding is scarce. School budgets have been cut, but prevention is still needed. So we share our wonderful research-based tools, and finally, it involves parents who can make a difference at home and in their communities. Becoming a distance learning ambassador allows you to make a difference in your community. You will receive all the tools you need to deliver year-round healthy messages. You'll help build a safety net across the state of Florida and beyond. And you will be able to create critical mass and a tipping point for change. Be the change agent in your community. Distance learning ambassadors are given toolkits. We provide them to help you implement the campaign. Each toolkit is just for that campaign, and it may include the welcome letter and fact sheet, a let's get started checklist, morning announcement script, parent broadcast message, activity guide for families, a parent newsletter insert, a campaign flyer, and a campaign pledge to support the message of campaign and reinforce our stand against drug abuse.
Oh, now they're going to let me introduce our distance learning ambassador extraordinaire, and that is Pat Barton in Naples, Florida. Pat just happens to be the first president of, it was called the National Federation of Parents for Drug-Free Youth, which was started by Nancy Reagan, so you sort of know how long ago that's been going on. The big thing about Pat, when we talked about this, sending correct messages, health messages, is about networking with people. It's the same today as it was back in 1980 at the beginning of the parent movement. The only difference is, and boy, this is exciting, is that we have the internet and we have technology to make it possible for us to be more effective, efficient, and engage more people in the prevention process. And so now, if our technology works, we're going to Pat Barton at the school system in Naples.
Good morning. Thank you for letting us be a part of this. It's very exciting to learn new technology too, as you mentioned, Peggy. Peggy asked me to tell you a little story about what happened here recently when Red Ribbon came around. And what started it really was an elected official asked somebody at Informed Families, well, what are they doing in Naples, Florida, where I live and where he lived? And the question came back to me from Peggy, and I said, well, I don't know exactly, but I know we're doing something, I'm sure, because we were one of the early people involved with Red Ribbon in this country. And I think we've always done something. So I said, well, let me see what I can find out. So I called Drug Free Collier's office, and my good friend, Anna DiMercurio, who helps me a lot on other things, and we connect on a lot of things through the years. Anna said, well, sure, the schools are doing something, but it varies, and I don't know all the specifics about it. In the interim, Peggy had contacted our school system here and got in touch with Tracy Bowen. Tracy was actually new on the job in the health, physical, and driver education department. And she asked if I would call Tracy and talk to her about some of these things, and so I did, and I found out from both of them that there was actually going to be a pre-Red Ribbon day over at Laley Elementary School, and Peggy asked would I go over and see what they were doing, and it's been a while since I'd been involved with Red Ribbon, but so I went over at Dark 100 to Laley Elementary School, and was it a revelation? I had no idea that they had been doing this for 13 years. Have a wonderful program that they do where they invite outside community members. School board members were there, mascots of various school programs, the police, sheriff's department people, and the fire department people, and it was an all-day event. And the kids went to 5 or 6 different venues, including Edison, or one of the community colleges, which is right next door. At any rate, it was a real eye-opener for me. Peggy, in the meantime, had talked with Tracy and decided to ship 20 packets for 20 schools over here. We let her know that we had 26, and they turned around and shipped 6 more. But they shipped them to my house, which was rather interesting. And it became quickly apparent that I wasn't going to be able to distribute all of those packets. So back I am with Anna DiMercurio and Tracy Bowen, and said, we need some help getting these to the schools. I need your permission, first of all. A lot of the schools have been doing their own thing, but I don't know that they knew necessarily about these packets of information. I have to tell you that the 20 packets came in 2 boxes. Each box weighed 22 pounds. So we really schlepped this stuff around, 880 pounds of materials, to these 20 schools, and again, 6 more after that. And it was a lot of fun. We found out a lot of things about what was going on, at least I did. Tracy already knew. The feedback, though, from the schools was excellent. They just love the materials. They're wonderful. Their kids were excited at having some new things to do, and I trust they'll want to do them again. I enjoyed making a new friend out of Tracy and working again with Anna, and I really think we're going to do even more next year when Red Ribbon comes around again. I really thank you for highlighting the work that we do here in Collier County, and for inviting us to participate today. And we've enjoyed it all. And now back to Alita.
Thank you, Pat. And what a great example of community building, relationship building, and networking to create healthy communities. And so we hope that next year we'll ship packets to 6,000 schools. But anyway, that's next year. Let's talk now about Lock Your Meds, what's in the packet, and Alita's going to walk you through that.
Okay. Valerie and Peggy both talked a little bit about Lock Your Meds, so we're going to go in depth about this campaign that is currently implemented. Lock Your Meds is a national campaign that addresses the ever-growing epidemic of youth prescription drug and over-the-counter abuse. It educates families about the danger of abusing or misusing these drugs. Lock Your Meds asks parents to secure and take regular inventory of their medications to keep them out of children's hands. The campaign aims to educate children about only taking prescription and over-the-counter medication as prescribed and under the care of a parent or caregiver. For the first time in the history of our nation, deaths due to drug overdose, mostly prescription drug overdose, have surpassed deaths due to automobile accidents. Together, we can prevent this tragedy and protect our children. Going through Lock Your Meds, the 3 main points to highlight are educating parents, taking monthly inventory of household medications, and securing medications. And when we say securing medications, we mean locking them up or putting them in a place where children cannot have access to them. As Valerie stated, right now is the time to get registered to be a distance learning ambassador to implement the Lock Your Meds campaign. We give you a toolkit to help you every step of the way. And in that toolkit, you'll see a welcome letter and a statement of the campaign message and telephone numbers of people that can help you support your efforts. A campaign checklist to help you step by step. A sample parent broadcast message script. Here in Miami-Dade County, Connect Ed is used to broadcast important information to parents. Your community may use something different, but either way, this is a message that can be customized and sent out to parents. A sample morning announcement script for schools. Again, this script can be customized to suit your school environment. A campaign activity guide for educators. A newsletter insert. If your school or community sends out newsletters, include this article to ensure the campaign message is spread. A copy of the campaign flyer that can be ordered and sent home with students to their parents. And a sample message of the student pledge and the parent pledge. Pledges are used to support the campaign messages and reinforce the stand against substance abuse. Finally, we ask you to prepare and send the campaign report so we know how to better serve you next time. The campaign reports also helps us keep track of how and when the campaign was implemented. The campaign report can be sent via email, or it can be filled out and sent online. Finally, we're looking for distance learning ambassadors such as yourself. If you're committed to being a distance learning ambassador, share the message with someone else that you know. They can be a distance learning ambassador in their school or community as well. If you haven't already registered to be a distance learning ambassador, register as soon as this webinar is over. You can register by going to www.informedfamilies.org/ambassador. There you'll enter your information and set up your own login and your own password. Once you're a registered distance learning ambassador, you have access to order all the materials you need to implement one or all of the 4 campaigns at your school or your community. If you've been thinking about becoming a distance learning ambassador, or you already are, act today. Let's get going on Lock Your Meds.
And now I think it's my time. Again, it's my time. I want to talk to you about branding. The most important thing we're doing for you is giving you fabulous material. This has been developed, I don't know if you can go backwards to some of the material. This is the quality of the material you receive. Typically with grassroots, people want to do something, but they don't have the materials to do it. They don't have the slick look to do it. We've been fortunate in, Marcia Stanton is on this call today. Marcia Stanton was the Community Affairs, I believe that was her title. Marcia, forgive me if I'm wrong, for King Pharmaceutical. And she actually was the one who gave us the funding to develop the Lock Your Meds campaign and to come up with the fabulous material that you see. So you don't have to spend your time developing materials. We need you to take the materials out and build the relationships. So that's an important point. But the other important point is branding. In 30 years of dealing with the prevention problem, we are our own worst enemies because we all come up with some different title or lobby or something or else. So we don't get the traction that the pink ribbon, for example, gets with breast cancer. That's what we're trying to get with this, is that type of branding. Now, Marcia also was instrumental in helping us come up with these Lock Your Meds necklaces and pins that we have. Now, let me tell you why it works. I wear this little necklace somewhere down the street to eat lunch, and I go into a dress store, and the woman says, "Oh, I love your necklace. Where did you get that?" Hello? That's my opportunity to do my elevator speech. That's what we're trying to train you to do, is to be that ambassador, to say, "Oh, this is where it is. This is how I got it." Then she says, "Well, I'd like to carry those in my store." Hello? That's how you deliver the prevention message. People have to ask you to take the next step. I think frequently with prevention, and this was told to me by the Vice President of Marketing for Burdines, now Macy's, he said, "Peggy, the problem with you all is you want to put everything you know on the pocket of a t-shirt." And that's true. With prevention, we want to walk right in and we want to tell them the program and we want to say, "Get with it, and now I saved you and I measured it." I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. It works back through all those domains. It works back through all those messages so that you're getting a consistency, a tipping point, and critical mass. So other people will say, well, don't you think that's fluff? And I say, fluff works. That's what makes marketing happen. We have got to get smarter and market our message so people want it and want to hear it, and they engage with it. And they engage with these necklaces and with these pins. And Marcia now is in a new position, and I've been thinking, Marcia, we could certainly use some more necklaces and pins. And that would be my other messages to each of you out there today. You each have different skills, you each have different talents, you each have different outreach. But all together, we have everything we need to really educate people. So I might be saying to Marcia, I would really like you to fund a lot more of these and help us develop a plan to distribute them. To someone in juvenile justice, I might be saying, tune in with us. Tell us what's going on with you. Valerie used to be in charge also of working with juvenile justice and first-time offenders in schools. Those people need certain special attention. So we try to come up with the things that will help you. Having said that, we don't always know exactly what you need. So you have to tell us. This is an interactive process. It's very frustrating sometimes for my staff because we all want to just give you the package, have you do it, and now we save 10 people. But it's a process. We'll give you the package, give us the feedback, what's working. You must register with us online. Technology now allows us to track, to find out, to determine what you need, what's working, what's not working. This can be real-time information. I know that when I've met with juvenile justice, that one of the most pressing problems is affluent areas now. But what does everyone have? They have the stereotype that it's an inner city problem. It isn't. First-time offenders are across the board in a lot of families, affluent families across America. Educating parents. And when I say educating parents, have you ever met somebody who just wanted to tell you how to solve all your problems? Well, you know what you do with that person. You don't call them again because you already think you know how to solve your problems. Our ambassadors are friends. Our ambassadors are trained to ask the right questions and listen and give the information as needed. That's a very important step in our 4 campaigns because you know your area. Like that superintendent who sent out the napkins, he knew his area probably better than we did. We didn't know his area. So this is an interactive dance. It's an interactive process. It's about getting you involved in what we do. I will tell you that our Red Ribbon campaign is huge. There is, that is our goal. Our goal is to make all 4 of these campaigns as large as Red Ribbon. One of our weaknesses on Red Ribbon is it was successful. Why? Because everyone knew what a red ribbon was. We just had to take it and package it into October 23rd through 31st. We had to package it into getting people to participate. Kids compete to have the theme for 2014. That's what prevention is about. Getting someone to participate with you, and we will have the theme for 2014 designed by children. This is an important part of the prevention process. So if you tuned into the webinar thinking that, I can't see that. He's telling me I only have a few minutes.
Post-test before.
Post-test before. Thank you. If you tuned in thinking you're just going to know everything to do and at the end of this hour, well, that's not correct. We're asking you to become our partner. We're asking you to participate with us. We are giving you a wonderful title, an ambassador. An ambassador is someone that you have trained and that you trust to take your message. And for all of you 16 states and 38 sites in Florida, you're really important to us. We hope we can train you well. We hope we can give you the kind of things that you need. So, Sergio was telling me that I have to ask you those questions again, because again, DCF will ask me, well, how do you know they learned anything at the webinar? So how do I know that you learned anything at the webinar? So let's go back to those questions. Do you understand IF's prevention process? Yes or no? Now we're going to ask that again. And then now they all get it? Good. I'm so glad that you get that, because guess what? You have to deliver the message to your community. You never know a message till you have to teach it. Okay, next question. How many steps are in Informed Families prevention process? Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Jeff, do you hear me? We're measuring universal, outreach, participation, and engagement. The bottom line, if we don't engage anyone, we haven't succeeded. Terrific. Then, next question. How many campaigns are there in Informed Families prevention process? Oh my, I'm telling you, you all are the smartest group of people, because you've got all of these things right. You only have to do this 4 times a year, but you have to be consistent with it, and you have to have the material, which we will send to you. Besides the material for each campaign, our new material, not the Lock Your Meds, but our Safe Home, Safe Parties, our Red Ribbon and Family Day, have been designed by the same ad agency that designed the Truth campaign for smoking. Highly successful campaign. And they are already telling me, which, you know, we have to ask experts to help us. They have already recommended that we'll be calling, instead of Safe Home, Safe Parties, it'll be Safe Home Smart Parties. Everybody wants to think they're smart, but not all children want to think they're safe. So by working with these experts and getting these materials, we hope we're bringing you the material you really want, because and then you tell us what it is you like and what you don't like. Did you know that Plant the Promise and Red Ribbon came from a 4th grade teacher in Oregon? You have to really believe that people have common sense. You have to really believe that they want to be healthy. They just maybe don't know how. You have to be their friend. That's what prevention is about. It's not about delivering the greatest little lecture in the whole world, because, you know, here's an example for you. I could do a hall of, I don't know what I would call this, the hall of addiction will always trump knowledge. An oral surgeon that my fiance plays golf with dips snuff. Now go figure, folks. This is an oral surgeon. Do you think that he doesn't know that snuff creates cancer of the mouth? It isn't about what we know, it is about what we do. We have too much information, we lack knowledge, and we really don't have enough wisdom. Wisdom is the piece that allows the person to choose prevention, to say yes to life, to say yes to positive things, and no to addiction. And even saying no to addiction is like the example I just used. It is not simple. That is where Informed Families would turn someone over to the treatment centers and to people who can help them that we're not equipped to do. And it is that connection between saying, hey, here is help. Here is someone you should talk to. But people have to want help first, right? So that would be our goal, is when we have delivered the fluffy messages, the universal messages, tried to enroll people, and then they still are behaving in ways that are risky to their health, our goal would be to turn them over to the right agency to help them get that whatever program they need. That's when the programs come in. That's when they need some help. But guess what? They still need this support base that we have built back here. Because what is the number one thing about relapse? You go back to your old community. What happens? You go back to your old habits. So if we're building healthy communities with prevention, when they come back to us, then they feel hopeful. And feeling hopeful is part of prevention. Now I'm going to give you one more little analogy story about this. On my way, everybody's been out for the holidays, right? And I've been traveling, and the airports have been closed for weather, etc. So I'm trying to get in here for this webinar today with a number of difficulties. And so I come down off of the expressway onto US 1, which is frequently congested. But at this time, and it's 11 o'clock, I should tell you that, it's 11 o'clock, 1 hour before the webinar, it stopped. Traffic is totally backed up. I'm sitting there for close to 10 minutes before I see road work, left lane closed. And in the meantime, my thoughts were going on about, well, I should call the office, I should tell them this, I should tell them that. Well, what would that do? That would increase their anxiety, and my anxiety was already increased. Prevention. Where the turnpike ends into US 1, they could have simply put the sign up that said, detour to Coral Way, road work ahead. They posted their sign too late. I was already caught up in it, and the anxiety and stress was just going. Prevention is about posting the sign early enough to get someone to not get in the mess they're in. The 4 campaigns will do that for you, and we will keep working with you to give you the material you need. Orlando's material our material in Orlando last year through Christine Stillwell, they built a partnership with Publix Pharmacy. Every pharmacy had the signs for Lock Your Meds, and now we're going to do that statewide. So Publix pharmacies will have the Lock Your Meds sign, and on every receipt that you get, you will get a message from us. And that is about putting our message on early enough to do something about. When they're holding that prescription drug in their hand, the message says, lock your meds. So I think that's it. I can't believe it. We're a little early, which is a very good thing to always leave a little early, right? But we thank all 75 sites for signing up. We thank all 16 states for participating, and we look forward to being partners with you, and let us hear from you. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.